Hello students, how are you? This is AJ sir, and today we'll be doing the second chapter in our grammar parts of speech, that is pronouns. So basically, what are pronouns? Pronoun is a word which is used in place of a noun. Alright. So they serve as a shortcut to avoid repeating nouns in sentences and make speech or writing more concise and efficient. Alright. So basically any word that you can use in place of a noun, in order to make it more understandable, and and mainly to avoid repeating the nouns. So that is called as a pronoun, right? So some examples of pronouns are like, if I say Ram plays good cricket, so you will get it that Ram plays good cricket. So here we are talking about Ram. But if I say he plays good cricket, you still understand that we're talking about Ram, right? So he is a pronoun here. So, for example, I took some tea. I can say that Ashutosh took some tea, but I'll be talking to myself and I'll be talking third person. So it doesn't look good. So in order to make it more beautiful, we say I took some tea. So I here is a pronoun. We are going to the library. Rahul, Ashutosh and Abhishek are going to the library. It sounds long, it sounds boring, right? So we can just say we are going to the library, and here it will give the same meaning, it will convey the same meaning, and it's called we are going to library. So here he, I and we, they're all what? Pronouns, right? So these are pronouns. Pronouns are basically words that can be used in place of a noun. It is used to replace a noun. All right, great. Moving on. All right. So you all might be wondering what types of pronouns are there, right? So of course, everything has its own types. So there are different types of pronoun as well, and there are basically 8 major types of pronouns. Right? How many types? 8 major types of pronouns. Okay. So the first one is personal pronoun. Then we have a reflexive pronoun, demonstrative pronoun, possessive pronoun, relative pronoun, reciprocal pronoun, interrogative pronoun, and indefinite pronouns. So these are the 8 types of pronouns that we have, and we'll as we move on into the chapter, we'll study each of them separately. Right? So let's start. The first one is personal pronouns. So what is a personal pronoun? Any pronoun which is used instead of the name of a person. It's called a personal pronoun. Very simple, right? So you just do not have to use the name of the person. You don't want to repeat it. It sounds repetitive. You already know why we use it, right? So anytime and every time you are replacing a pronoun, you are inputting a pronoun in the place of a name of a person. It's called a personal pronoun, right? So they represent the grammatical persons, all the persons, first person, second person, third person, all the persons that we study in grammar. They are represented by personal pronouns, and it can both be singular and plural. All right. So first person, when we say first person, we can use I, me, my, or mine. When we use it in plural, we use we, us, our, and ours. Right. So first person, right? The person who is speaking, the speaker, is the first person. So when I'm talking about myself and I have to use a pronoun, I will use I, me, my, or mine. Any of these that fits the narrative, that fits the sentence at the time. When I'm talking about more than one of me, so me and my friend, and if I have to talk about both of us, I'll use we, us, our, and ours. So these are the 8 first person pronouns that I use here. And for second person, like the person that you're talking to, right? The object, the second person that you're talking to, there is no need to go for different pronouns in singular and plural, because for both singular and plural, only 3 pronouns are used. It's you, your, yours. It can be one person, it can be 2 people, it can be 3,000 people. We'll always use only these pronouns. So they are used for both singular and plural. You, your, and yours. Right? And in third person, there are a lot of them. So he, him, or his is used if you are talking to third person. If you are telling, if you're telling someone about someone, you're not talking directly to them. That is third person. So when we are talking in third person, if it is a male, we are talking about, so we'll use he, him, or his. If it's a female, we'll use she, her, or hers. And if it is an animal, object, or thing, so if it's not either male or female, if you cannot tell that whether it is male or female, then you use it or its. So this is for singular. When you go to plural, very simple, it just becomes they, them, their, and theirs. Right? Clear? Very simple, right? So these are the personal pronouns. Whenever you're talking about someone and you use a pronoun instead of a noun, that's called a personal pronoun. Some examples of personal pronouns are: I am going to the store, she gave you a gift, and it is a comfortable chair. The one I'm sitting in, yeah, pretty comfortable, right? So it could have been my name here instead of, but I'm using a pronoun, so it becomes I. It could have been another name here, like Rashmi gave you a gift, but I don't want to use the name, so I'll just, use she instead. It is a comfortable chair. So yeah, it's an object, right? And when we are talking about objects, we use, see, the third person pronoun. So it is a comfortable chair. That's what I'll say. So this is personal pronoun. Anything that replaces the name of a person or a thing or an object. So just anything that replaces the name is a personal pronoun. Moving on, the second type of pronoun is demonstrative pronoun. You know what demonstration is, right? Anything that you use to show or indicate or present to people, that's a demonstrative pronoun. So demonstrative, so that's demonstration, and any pronoun that is used to point out or identify specific people. Specific is the key word here. Specific people, objects, places, or things in a sentence, that's a demonstrative pronoun. So basically there are only 4 demonstrative pronouns in English. The first is this. If I have to indicate a singular object or a person that is close to the speaker, so this is my phone. When I use that will use to indicate a singular object, but that is farther away, not very close, right? So if I have to ask to someone, can you pass me that book? So when I say that, I'm using that, right? So this is the second type. Third is these, yeah. So if I'm talking about something plural and multiple objects or people that are close to me, and I have to indicate them, so these are my stuff, yeah. So I'll be using these are the keys to my car. And those are used to indicate multiple objects, again plural, but that are further away from the speaker, from me. So I say I like those flowers in the garden, yeah. So I'll be using those there. So this, that, these, and those, only these 4 are demonstrative pronouns. They're used to demonstrate, that is point out or identify specific people, objects, places, or things in a particular sentence, right? Moving on. The third pronoun is indefinite pronoun. So indefinite pronouns are basically a type of pronoun that refer to non-specific people, things, places, or amounts. So there is something, I know there is something is there, right? Something, someone, some place, some number, but I do not know, it's not very specific. So I do not know exactly what is, what should be there, exactly in what place am I using it. So that is the case. In those cases we use indefinite pronouns. Like the first one is somebody. It's somebody, it is a person. I do not know what person is it. I do not know their name, their identity, nothing. So if they left their umbrella in the office, I'll just say somebody left their umbrella in the office. I do not know who they are, so I'm using somebody. Anybody, yeah, anybody is another example. Anybody usually used in a question, but again it refers to an unspecified person. So if I'm asking a question in the class and nobody and I want somebody to answer it, I'll just say, does anybody know the answer? Any of a group of people. I do not know what specific I'm talking about. It might be anyone, it might be Ram, it might be Sham, it might be Sita. Any one of them might know the answer, but I do not know, right? So I'll just ask, does anybody know the answer? And then everybody. Similarly, like anybody and somebody, it's it's everyone is supposed to be there, but we are not picking out, pointing out someone in particular. So you'll just say everybody enjoyed the party, right? Next, nobody. When I know for sure that I do not know someone who is in there, but definitely it's not anyone that should be here, right? So when I'm talking about nobody in particular, I'll use nobody. Like nobody likes to be criticized, which is true, sad but true. Yeah, nobody likes to be criticized. So nobody is another pronoun that I'm using here, and it's an indefinite pronoun. We are not pointing towards something or someone in general. Again, someone, like I talked, someone like somebody is very similar. Someone is calling you. I do not know who. Someone is calling you. I do not know the person, right? So they're just telling me that please call him. I'll just say someone is calling. Anyone, like anybody, you can ask anyone for help. It implies that everyone knows it, right? So you can just ask anyone for help. So this is what it implies. Again, an indefinite pronoun. Then we go to everyone. Everyone is like, similarly like everybody, everyone is also used in the same case. Everyone should bring their own lunch. Nobody should rely upon anyone else, right? So when I say everyone, it includes each and everyone. I do not have to single out a person. I'll just say everyone. And like nobody, there goes no one. So no one knows the answer. Very good. No worries. No one knows the answer. Again, it refers to not a single person, right? I'm not talking to anyone in the class. So no one knows the answer. Then something refers to an unspecified thing or object. I felt something touch my shoulder. There was something. I don't know what it is, but there was something, right? Anything. You can choose anything from the menu. There's a big, large menu, and you can choose anything from the menu, right? So it is unlimited. Any unspecified, unlimited object. Everything. It refers to all the things, the whole of something. Like you packed everything for the trip. Nothing refers to not a single thing, not anything, not even single thing in existence. So when someone is sad and you feel like there's they are being worried without any cause, so you can just tell them there's nothing to worry about, right? Don't worry, there's nothing to worry about. Then there is some refers to a quantity, right? So there is a quantity, but we don't know what it is, so you just say some. Would you like some cake? I don't know whether you like one slice or two slices or three slices, right? So you just say, would you like some cake? And then we move on, then go to any. Do you have any questions? So it can be any number of or quantity of something. So do you have any questions? It might be one question, two question, three question, right? So, and the last but not least is all. So all refers to the whole or an entire group of something. So all students must attend the meeting, right? So all refers to the entirety of the class. I'll not single out anyone. I'll just say all of you have to come in there, right? Great. Next, possessive pronouns. What are possessive pronouns? You know what is possessive, right? People are possessive. Something that is close to me, but I want to keep close. But how do I make you realize that I'm talking about something that is close to me? So possessive pronouns are so there we use possessive pronouns, which are a type of pronoun used to indicate ownership or possession of something. So if something is belongs to me, I will not say every time that the red car belongs to me. I'll just say the red car is mine, right? There are total of 7 possessive nouns in English, and we will be discussing all of them. But you need to know that possessive pronouns agree in person and number with the noun they are replacing. That means if it is a singular first person, right, then the possessive pronoun will also be singular first person. You cannot use plural with singular or second person with first person. Nope. Get it? Right. So there are total of 7 possessive pronouns. The first one is mine. Like I just said, the red car belongs to me. The red car is mine. Is this pen? Does this pen belong to you? I'll just say, is this pen yours? Right. So we'll be using yours as the second one. It shows ownership. Something belongs to the person that is being spoken to. That is second person, singular or plural. It works for both, but mine works only for first person, singular. His shows ownership of something belonging to a male person or singular noun, right? So if you are using an object, we can use it in a singular form also. So John lost his phone, right? So I will not say John lost John's phone. I'll say John lost his phone. So his is the third one. The fourth is hers. Like his, it shows ownership of something that belongs to a female person. The book is hers. If I'm talking about a book that belongs to Geeta, I'll just say the book is hers. It shows ownership of something that belongs to a neutral object or an animal, right? So it's third person singular and it's gender neutral. The cat is cleaning its paws. The cat can be male, the cat can be female, right? It might be a bobcat, it might be a feline, it might be a female cat, but it will be using its. The cat is cleaning its paws, right? So it is used here. Ours shows ownership of something belonging to the speaker and others, me and my friends. So if you are going to a concert and we'll say, the concert tickets are ours. Yeah. First person, plural. Similarly, theirs is third person but plural, right? So that house is there. That house is the Rakesh and his sister and his brother. No, I'll just say that house is theirs, right? So these are the 7 possessive pronouns in English, right? Next, the next type of pronoun is reflexive pronoun. So what is a reflexive pronoun, if you might ask? What are reflexes? You know what reflex? So the next type is reflexive pronoun. Reflexive pronouns, you know what they are? Reflexive pronouns are used when the subject and the object both refer to the same person or thing, right? So they are found basically by adding self or selves to certain personal pronouns. So reflexive pronouns, they are formed from personal pronouns. If you add self to them, they become a reflexive pronoun. You know, they are reflecting upon something. There are a total of 8 reflexive pronouns in English. The first is myself. If I'm talking about, it is used when the subject and the object are the same, and the subject is first person singular. If I was using I or me in the personal pronoun, it becomes myself. You know, so if I was playing and a ball hit me and I'm hurt, so I'll just tell someone I hurt myself while playing. If me, you know, Ashutosh is talking about me, Ashutosh, then I'll use myself. I hurt myself while playing. Yourself. But you know, if I'm talking to the second person, if I'm talking to someone else, you know, and it's second person singular, you, so then I'll use yourself. So be kind to yourself. The third is himself. It is used when the subject and the object are the same and the subject is third person singular. Like if I'm telling about like John, you know, he had an accident, he cut himself. I use the word himself. So subconsciously use it. John cut himself accidentally, right? So the third one. The fourth is herself, like similarly when himself was used. So if the subject and object are the same and the subject is third person singular, but she, that is female, right? So if you're talking about a female subject, then we'll say she taught herself how to play the guitar, right? Geeta taught herself how to play the guitar. She taught herself. So herself is the word being used here. Then there is itself. Remember how the cat was cleaning its paws. So similarly, when we are talking about it, we'll say the cat is cleaning itself. Yeah, neutral. Ourselves. Let's do it ourselves. Used when the subject or the object are the same. Subject is first person plural. So when the pronouns are we and us, the word will become ourselves, right? And when the pronoun is second person plural, that is you is also first person, so just make sure. But when we are talking about more than one people, right, so when it's a plural you, then we'll use yourselves. When it's singular, we used yourself, as you saw earlier. So please help yourselves to some snacks. Yourselves. And the eighth and the final one is themselves, when we are talking about third person but plural. So when the pronouns are they and them, then the you know then these pronouns turn into themselves. So the kids dressed themselves for the party. So they did not use anyone else's help. They used them. You know, they helped themselves. So themselves is the is the pronoun to use here, right? Next, we have interrogative pronouns. You know what interrogative is, right? Interrogation is to ask someone questions. So whenever something is interrogative, it is asking questions. So it's the same with pronouns. Interrogative pronouns are a type of pronoun that are used to ask questions. Like specifically, they are used to seek specific information about people, things, places, or time. Right? So there are 5 main interrogative pronouns. The first one is who. It is used to ask about people and can refer to a subject or the object of a sentence. It can be used for both, right? So when I ask who is coming to the party, this is referring to the subject. Whom did you invite? So this is referring to the object, right? So who and whom. This is who did you invite? I guess it should be who did you invite, right? And that would be the object. And the second is whom. Whom is used to ask about people and typically refers to the object. You know, it's very object specific. To whom did you give the gift? Like who is the receiver of the gift? So the receiver is the object. So to whom did you give the gift? I'll use whom here when we are talking about the person. Whose is used to ask about possession or ownership. Like whose book is this? Whose pen is that? Whose car is this? Right? So when we are talking about, when we are asking about possession or ownership, then we use whose. What is used to ask about things, actions, or ideas. What's your favorite color? What is your favorite color? So what we have used here. And the fifth one is which is used to ask about a choice between a limited number of options or to inquire about, you know, specific things or people. So wherever there's an option, like there are 2 dresses, 3 dresses, or you know, there are 3-4 things that we can do, and there's one of them that we have to do. And if I have to ask, I'll use which. So which dress do you prefer? Right? So these are interrogative pronouns. The seventh type is relative pronouns. Relative pronouns are pronouns that introduce relative clauses in a sentence, right? So relative clauses are used to provide more information about a noun, which is the antecedent. Antecedent, we'll learn about it later. Antecedent is basically anything that appears earlier in the sentence, right? So there is something that has already come in a sentence. There is something that is already there. We know there is something. And when we have to refer to them again, then the pronouns that are being used, they are called a relative pronoun. So who, it is also an interrogative pronoun, but it is more commonly used as a A relative pronoun, the woman who lives next door. Who, when we are using it, we already know we are talking about the woman, right? So the woman who lives next door, this is the antecedent, this comes after, is a doctor. So this is the precedent, this is the antecedent. When we have used who, then we have to tell about her. So who lives next door is a doctor. So it is used to refer to people. Whom is also used for people, but in a more formal context, or when the pronoun is the object of the relative clause. Like whom is also used as object in the interrogative pronouns, right? Similarly, whom is also used for people, but in a more formal context. So the doctor whom I met yesterday, this is me, I'm meeting him for the first time, right? I'm just being formal with him. The doctor whom, and then I have to give an antecedent, tell him who was he. So the doctor whom I met yesterday, the one who I met yesterday was very friendly. Third, there is whose. Whose indicates possession and is used for both people and things. So for example, the book whose cover is torn belongs to me. There is a book, it's not in a good condition, its cover is torn, and if I have to talk about it, the book whose cover is torn belongs to me. Then there is which. Which is used to refer to things or animals. The car which is parked in front of the house is mine. Acha, mine, what kind of pronoun is mine? You tell that, just note it down. That is used to refer to both people and things. It is often used in cases essential to the meaning of the sentence, right? So there is a dog, it barks loudly and belongs to my neighbor. In this case, I'll use that. The dog that barks loudly. Whenever I've used that, I'll have to, just tell them, okay, which dog am I talking about? The dog that barks loudly belongs to my neighbor, right? So this is relative pronoun. And last but not least, we have reciprocal pronouns. So what are reciprocal? Reciprocal, you know what reciprocal is? Reciprocal means anything that I give. Reciprocal is basically Newton's third law of motion. Every action is equal and opposite reaction. Yeah, so reciprocal means whatever I give, I receive back, right? So reciprocal pronouns are a type of pronoun used to show that two or more people are performing an action on each other or to each other. So it needs two people, and they used to be, doing the same thing. And when I'm talking about them, when I'm telling about them, then we'll use reciprocal pronouns. So there are only two reciprocal pronouns. Each other is one, and then the other is one another, right? So it is used when the subject and the object are performing similar actions on or to their reciprocals. Like, we need to trust and support each other. We are talking about people in general. And then there are two friends, they hug each other. So we'll use they hugged each other tightly. One another is also used in a similar case. It's just, it can be used for a more formal setting, or when you want to feel, when you just feel like it, just use it if you feel like it. So both of them, they mean the same. So when I say Sarah and Tom apologize to one another after the argument, it means both of them are apologizing to each other. This is what's happening, right? So these are the type of pronouns. These are the 8 types of pronouns, and I hope you have learned them. We'll be talking about them, discussing them in the assignment later. But these are the 8 types of pronoun. If we just have to quickly revise it, we'll just go here. So these are personal, reflexive, demonstrative pronouns, possessive pronouns, interrogative pronouns, relative pronouns, reciprocal pronouns, and indefinite pronouns. Right? Moving on. Pronoun agreement and antecedents. So there are quite a few things that you have to consider, take note of. Right? Pronoun agreement and antecedents are important concepts in grammar that deal with the relationship between pronouns and the nouns they replace or refer in a sentence. Right? So understanding these concepts is very crucial for constructing clear and grammatically correct sentences. It's just not okay to speak English. It's important to speak clear, good, and correct English, right? So this is what pronoun agreement and antecedents are all about. Pronoun agreement basically refers to the correspondence between a pronoun and its antecedents, whatever follows the pronoun, in terms of gender, number, and person, right? So the pronoun must agree with its antecedent in all these aspects to ensure clarity and grammatical correctness. So if I'm talking about someone and if I begin with second person or third person, right, I cannot go back to first person in the pronoun, right? So basically, we'll be going through them, all the forms. The first form is gender agreement. So pronouns like he, she, his, and hers, they have gender specific norms. I cannot use she for a boy or hers for a boy. Similarly, I cannot use he or his for a girl, right? It is essential to use the appropriate gender specific pronoun that matches the gender of the antecedent. For example, the dog wagged its tail. So when I say it's, this is it is, right? So it's written it is. So this is wrong. But even if I write his tail, that would have been wrong still, because the dog is gender neutral. So I'll use the dog wagged its tail, right? So this is how it goes. Uh, if I say something like, Seema uh, is, what can we use here? Reading his book. You see where the problem is, right? Seema is obviously Seema is a girl, right? So Seema is reading his book would be wrong. We'll have to use her instead. Okay? Moving on. Number agreement. The pronoun should match the number, whether it's singular or plural, of their antecedents. For singular antecedents, you'll always use singular pronouns. For plurals, you'll always use plural pronouns. Like if I say the team is celebrating their victory, it is wrong, because the team is a collective noun and collective nouns are considered singular. This we have learned in the nouns chapter, right? So team is a singular because it's a collective noun. So the team is celebrating its victory, not their victory, right? So is the second one, that is number agreement. And the third, okay, so we'll just move on. Antecedent. What antecedents are? An antecedent in the noun or noun phrase that a pronoun refers to or replaces in a sentence. So whatever noun or noun phrase that the pronoun is replacing is called an antecedent. The antecedent comes before the pronoun and gives the pronoun its meaning and context, right? So it is very essential in order to have clear and unambiguous antecedent for each pronoun used in a sentence, so that we might avoid confusion, right? For example, John is tired and he needs some rest. So John is the antecedent of the pronoun he, right? And it's very clear that we are talking about John when we say he. But the students are studying hard, they want to pass their exams. Very clear, students are the antecedent and they are the pronouns. There also, they and there are their pronouns. We are talking about the students. The cat meowed because it was hungry. So it is the antecedent and we are using it for the cat, right? Pronoun agreement and antecedents work together to ensure that pronouns have clear references to their corresponding nouns in a sentence, making the writing more coherent and understandable. So basically, agreement and antecedents, they are used so that we might understand, we might frame and understand the sentence better and do not have any confusion, any ambiguity, or any kind of grammatical incorrectness, right? So that is what pronoun agreement and antecedents do. Moving on. Pronoun cases. So pronoun cases refer to the different forms that pronouns take based on their function in a sentence. So whatever pronoun is doing, based on that, it will change the case. So there are three main pronoun cases: subjective, which is also called nominative, objective, and possessive. The case of the pronoun determines whether it functions as the subject, object, or possessive in a sentence. So if it's a subjective case, it would be the subject. If it's an objective case, it would be the object. And if it's the possessive case, it would be a possessive in a sentence. So using the right pronoun case helps ensure that the pronoun correctly corresponds to its function in the subject as the subject, object, or indicating position. For example, I is the subjective case, so it is used as the subject. Me is an objective case, it is used as an object, and mine is the possessive case and it is used to show ownership. We'll just go through all three of them. The subjective or nominative case, as you call it, these pronouns are used as subjects of a sentence, which means they perform the action of the verb or link to the subject complement. Example, I, you, he, she, it, we, they. They are all subjective cases. I am going to the store. Here I is a subjective case. They are coming to the party. They is a subjective case. Objective cases. The second one is objective case. What are objective cases? These pronouns are used as the objects of a sentence, which means they receive the action of the verb or serve as the object of a preposition. Example, me, you, him, her, it, us, them. So these are all objective cases, right? Basically all these pronouns act as the objects. John called me yesterday. I'm using me here, right? So John is a noun here. totally ignored. But when I'm talking about me, I'm the object here. This is the objective case. She gave the book to him. She is the first person and him is the second person. So him is the objective case. And the third one is possessive case. These pronouns indicate ownership or possession of something. So mine, yours, his, hers, its, ours, theirs. All of these are possessive case of pronouns. So this book is mine. When I'm talking about it, I tell someone that this book belongs to me. This book is mine. So I'm using a possessive case. Is this pen yours? I'm asking a question, but I do not know whose it is. And I want to question the possession of this pen. So I'll be using yours. And this is the possessive case of pronoun, right? So it is very essential to use correct pronoun case in our day-to-day life as well as a sentence to maintain grammatical accuracy and clarity in order to avoid ambiguity, right? So these are pronoun cases. So quickly, if we just go through what we have learned in pronouns. So pronouns are basically words that replace a noun. They are used in place of a noun. They serve as a shortcut to avoid repeating nouns in a sentence, making speech or writing more concise and efficient. So basically, they help you make your sentences beautiful. There are 8 types of nouns: personal, reflexive, demonstrative, possessive, interrogative, relative, reciprocal, and indefinite. And apart from that, pronoun agreement and agreement are based on gender and number. They help, whatever gender the antecedent is in, the same gender the pronoun has to follow. Same goes for number. Antecedents are basically a noun or the noun phrase that a pronoun refers to or replaces in a sentence, right? So antecedent comes before the pronoun and gives the pronoun its meaning and context. It is important so that we might not mess up with the meaning or uh, in order to avoid confusion in any sentence. And pronoun cases refer to different forms that pronouns take based on their function in a sentence. It can be subjective case: I, you, he, she, it, we, they. It can be objective case: me, you, him, her, it, us, them. Or it can be a possessive case: mine, yours, his, hers, its, ours, theirs, right? So these are pronouns. I hope you understood it. I hope you gave it some thought. We'll be moving on to the assignment shortly. If you did not understand, you can just go through it again, or there is always doubts available, so you can ask me there, right? So these are pronouns. Pronouns are basically words that replace nouns in order to make the sentence more beautiful. That was it for today, right? So these are pronouns. Thank you. Let's move on to the assignments part.